So thank you and thank you Dinanath and HDFC Securities for giving this opportunity. We look forward all the time to this opportunity. I think we have started communicating about our company fairly very recently. We have figured out our strategy very recently, I must say so, and that's what we have started communicating. So when Deepan talked to me about saying that he would like me to talk about certain things about the sector, etc. You are very kind to allow me any topic, whether I will talk about my company. It's I don't know whether you understand the feeling of being Abhishek Bachchan or what else. It's a fairly horrible feeling, right? And that's. Abhishek Bachchan got married to Aishwarya Rai. But you have L&T as a parent, right? And then you are always compared. कुछ भी करो L&T थोड़ी बन सकता है. So fine, but we are about to do something. So L&T has its very good points of being L&T. I think having this parent stopped us from being almost shut down in the year 2000 when many NBFCs shut down, and most NBFCs didn't know why they existed other than that it was fashionable, and many NBFCs doing SMEs and what was thought to be SME lending at that time sort of shut down. Because L&T we continue. I joke about it, but there are various strengths that L&T gives us. So at the same time, there are some issues which we will talk about. One of the strengths is that we get people. I mean, face it, in 2007, I wouldn't have left an MNC bank and joined L&T Finance if the name was XYZ Finance. So that's the strength L&T gives us, other than many other strengths. The topic is LTFS 2.0 or LTFH 2.0 for the listed company, if you say so. And hence I must start with what was 1.0. So, and please, if I found that I am going faster, please stop me. There can be question and answers, but I have been told 20 minutes, which normally are enough to tell my story. So I will not be covering too many financials, latest results. I think they are all on the websites. You have normally had a look at it, but I can speak about it. But very important to understand what we were. So we wanted to become a bank. Why we wanted to become a bank? Naturally, I mean, L&T starts a finance company, and RBI says that you want to become a bank. What else? We want to become a bank. It was a very thought of natural course that how L&T's company cannot have a bank, and we want to become a bank. Is there anything wrong in that? Perhaps not. But perhaps what was wrong about it is that we were confident. I think many other people were more confident that we will get the license than we were. Again, anything wrong in that? I don't think so also. But what we did wrong was perhaps prepare too much in advance for the license. And by the way, I must say here, I think I give that warning every time, that when I say we, I mean me too. I was a part of this, I am a part of this group for the last nine years. I was heading retail till about February. By the way, I didn't introduce myself. Just assume that everybody knows me. That is true. So my name is Dinanath Dubhashi. I think I should start it there right away. And currently I am the managing director of L&T Finance Holdings. Currently means for the last 1 month, and I have been the deputy managing director for the last 4 months. That is the time the management went through a change, and Mr. Devastadi, who was our CMD at that point of time, and right now is the chairman. So I am the chosen successor, and this was the plan of easing me into his extremely large shoes, as you are. So that's where I am. I have been in the group for the last 9 years. Before that, I have totally 25 years experience. I am from IIM Bangalore and experience in many companies. First job was SBI Capital Markets, and one of my esteemed colleagues is here. And then various companies, BNP Paribas was my last job. So coming back to the topic, we started preparing well in advance. So 3 things happened because of that. One, we launched a lot of bank-like products, and when ma'am was explaining in her question and answer sessions what is bank-like and what is NBFC-like product, I think I completely not only agree but absolutely reverberate with what she's saying. But now imagine an NBFC doing bank products, and then you have a problem because you don't have the strengths of a bank and try to be a bank. So we actually started saying we are almost a bank and things like that to our employees as well. Now we got into products perhaps that would be good when we became a bank, but were not possible for an NBFC to make money. Simple. That one. Second, what happens, which is actually the iceberg below the water, is you start putting processes and people and structures which are like a bank. Right? That doesn't necessarily mean that NBFCs have weaker structures, but they just have different structures. And being the NBFC, you put structures like a bank or processes like a bank, then you get bank customers. You don't get NBFC customers, right? Because I think she took great pains to explain what is the NBFC customer. I don't think I can do a better job than that. But one of the things that the NBFC customer needs is less hassles. Various type of customer need various type of less hassles, but less hassles is clear. And when you start having processes like a bank, you build your costs and you put on hassles for the customers, and that's what happened. So then, fast forward 2013, we didn't get the license. Another 1 year we spent, 1 or 1.5 years we spent in denial. That how can we not get license? We must get a license, and we must find out why we don't get a license, things like that. But luckily, I think we are fairly intelligent people. So, please, I'm talking a bit flippantly, but to be more serious, all the operational and tactical things which are required to make money we have been doing. So when I say now we were concentrating only on core, does that mean that we were heavily doing non-core products? No. If you see our P&L balance sheet, say something like construction equipment and CV, we have reduced from 40% to 5% of our balance sheet in the last 3 years already. Now we are just standing and saying that we don't want to do it, and I will come to it. So this mindset change, free ho gaya, and saying that okay, we are the NBFC, want to be a aspiring NBFC at that point of time, and not a bank aspiring NBFC. Right? This is a very important mindset change which leads us to 2.0. So all this was there. There are a few investors who asked me the question, why now? कि अभी क्या हुआ? ऐसे suddenly कि अभी ये realize हुआ? No, it's not that. We have been thinking about this, but obviously you see a large group, there are various management groups within that having different views. But one big thing which happened was Bain invested 10% capital in this company in September, October, 1 year. And naturally, as every private equity investors, you start asking very hard questions, and which sort of speeded up the efforts. Then the management change happened. So my boss, Mr. Shivaraman, retired, and I took his place, which is normally not a very easy thing to happen. So that shows the intention of the company, that these things happening. And we actually asked ourselves the following questions, and I will go into the business part of it, but first the mindset change is very important to understand. We asked ourselves 3 big questions, and when I say ourselves, it is to the whole team, to ourselves, board, everything. Then one, are we L&T or are we a NBFC? This is a very important question to answer, because being L&T generally gives you a feeling that you have the God-given right to be in this world and make profits. Right? So you have to first understand and get that वो कुछ होता नहीं है. Now they are not even 100% shareholders that they can put money whenever they want. We are a listed company and we have to make our own money. It's a very basic change, right? One. Second, are we a bank aspiring NBFC or we are just a, or first of all, are we a bank or an NBFC? By now it was a very easy question to answer. I'm not talking regulatorily. Trust me, when the guidelines came now, I was very thankful that they have actually almost put everything that we are not eligible. Because I hope otherwise, possibly the discussions would have started and we would have wasted time. Right? There are a lot of people who ask me, do you want to become a bank? So I will give 2 answers. One answer which suits the new designation as MD, which says, ROE is important for us and we will look at it from the ROE lens, and if it is good, then we will become, otherwise we will not become. Short answer is no. That's a big thinking change, right? Third is, are we a bank aspiring NBFC or just an aspiring NBFC? And then the thumping answer was aspiring NBFC, and which now changes a lot of things. Right? I will talk about what actions we took and what is the strategy later on. But very clearly, we said, so we had this, that a company has to exist for various stakeholders, those things. I don't believe so. I believe the company is made by various stakeholders, and this is basic principle of corporate finance, that you require many stakeholders to run a company. We have to keep them happy to run a company, but the company exists for only one stakeholder, that is shareholder. Basics of corporate finance, right? You need to keep employees happy, customers happy, partners happy, everybody. You need to generate value for them, but it is a need to generate value for them. The company is there to make money for its shareholders. That's what I believe, and that's where we started changing. So this is basically a philosophy change. Very clearly, what we want to do is generate a lot of money for its shareholders. We are not generating. Let's accept. Come on, person who spoke before me is generating twice ROE than what we generate sometimes. So I stand here very humbled and promising that we have a right strategy and we are executing to get into that stage. I'm not here to promise results. 4 years के आगे मैं result promise करूँगा तो problem है. But at least saying that we have the right strategy and we are implementing it correctly. We are implementing it full stop. So what is the strategy? The first thing, that whatever happens, we will get into a top quartile ROE. That is the most important thing. First realization. We will. Right? What does it mean? That everything that comes to me, any decision, we will look at it through this lens. And which has started actually in operations, normal operations. I frustrate my number twos to death by asking them any proposal, is it increasing revenue, reducing cost, reducing risk or reducing investments? If one of the 4 ticks is not there, don't bring it. So, you're being a little extreme here, but we needed this to be extreme. See, I'll just again explain the difference in philosophies. We were for steadiness, right? So we launched a lot of products, believing that this will sort of, give steadiness to the performance. Yes, it gives steadiness to the performance, certainly. But that steady ROE was at 10%, right? So we need to get best of both worlds. And we said, okay, we will not be a single product company. We will still be a multi-product company. But each of the products that we do, we should have a right to win, or should be reasonably confident that we can build a right to win. Now this is where the new strategy really starts taking shape, right? There are many things that we have been doing well. I mean, it's fashionable for every new leader to come in and say, "Show wow, shit." I can't do that because I was there for the last 9 years. So it's, if we actually go through our ROE tree, if anyone of you have studied it, for the last 3 to 4 years, our pre-provision profits are not only industry comparable, but they are increasing continuously. It's the credit costs which have been taking us down, right? Our credit cost is about 2% of book, which is too high for the book that we run. So, of course, we have a lot of policies which are very conservative. We go way ahead of what RBI needs, etc. But also, mila ke 2%, right? Now there can be 2 thoughts. One thought saying, okay, there are tremendous headwinds. We are in infra, we are in farm. The headwinds are well known. We don't want to talk about it. And hence, once the headwind goes, this 2% should normally come down to 1%. So ROE should go up by 5%. We will be from 10% to 15%, and we will live happily ever after. That's the one thought. Second thought is that when you study those credit costs, you realize that many of those credit costs, are we worried in credit costs coming in tractors? We are not, genuinely. Okay, I think Ramesh says the same thing. I don't know whether yesterday he came and talked. But when we meet, we are not worried. Why we are not worried? Because Mahindra and us sit and we decide what we will do in the tractor industry this year. We are in control. There is a problem. Oh, most certainly there is a problem. 3 years of no rains, there is a problem. Right? But we know how to handle it. We are in control. Whereas when it happens in the car industry, okay, or a CE, we are not in control because we are not leaders. Yeah? So, if we actually see many of the credit cost shocks that we got over the last 4 or 5 years, every year there has been a new business giving us that delta credit cost shock, and which none of them we are in control. Right? Infra credit cost, I know precisely what is going to be my cost. I have talked about it because I am in control. So this thought says, okay, I will be in businesses where I can control what I do, and hence my credit cost will reduce, and we will talk more about it. I took extraordinarily long time on this one slide, don't worry, but I will finish in 25 minutes even. But I wanted to explain the philosophy change, because genuinely it is a LTFS 2.4. It is not a company which is doing some tinkering in its strategy and saying, okay, now we are changing the strategy. The company in its whole thinking has changed. That we are here to make money for the shareholder, and whatever needs to be done for that we will do. That's the plan. Okay. So how are we doing it? We have very simple slides, because one of the requirement I had about this strategy is that it should be over in one slide, and my last person on the ground should understand what is the strategy. So to explain them, it was so little more difficult, especially people engaged in businesses which were closing. It was difficult, but we could explain because primarily because it was very simple. Right? So right businesses. What is right businesses? I will just explain. Next slide. We will have the right structures, simple structures. So right businesses meaning we will be distinctive in whatever we do. We will be the largest? No, certainly not. But we will be distinctive. We should be people who are making practices in that industry, or should have a line of sight. Say in housing, are we the leaders? No, we are not. But L&T company, okay, agar housing mein I can't be the leader, then lagat hai. So that's, we will use L&T where the clear strengths are, and we will use infra, housing. These are the strengths. We will definitely use them. Right, right structure. We have outstandingly complicated structure. One, because RBI, before even giving this license, said that you require a non-operating holding company, etc. So we complicated things, and then we took over certain companies. Now we made a good success out of those companies, but it just increases number of subsidiaries, right? And then there is a problem. Though we are pretty open about all the subsidiaries we have and what it does, etc. But just having number of subsidiaries problem. I will talk a little bit about it. And then right people. We will clearly look at the number of people we have, type of people we have, and we will do a big change. And we have done. A L&T company asking 1,000 people to go in 1 month, I don't think anybody had heard of it. Okay? And we are hiring 1,500 people within the next 3 months. Right? Out of those 1,000 jobs, 800 jobs are from head office. Out of 1,500, 13 to 1,400 are in branches. So that's the transformation that we are doing. Right? So that's the strategy. Next. So we talk about right businesses. We looked at 3 criteria. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions here, so I'm not going to talk about it. But number 1 is the industry attractive. Right? Let me give you an example. Construction equipment. I think I was one of the leaders in this industry. But this is the industry where the financier simply doesn't make money. I mean, I will not take names, but you have to just look at the P&Ls of all competitors. Right? When there is a market leader is 4 times the next player and makes single-digit ROE, you know that this industry financier doesn't make money. Simple. We are just gone by very, very simple things. So, one is whether the industry is attractive. Second, do I genuinely have an ability to extract value? You know, without using big English words, can I write very clearly what is my USP, why customers should come to me? Or maybe not unique, but at least important selling propositions. I think ma'am rightly said that you don't need to be unique. There is market for more people. But there should be a good compelling reason why people come. Right? and then whether we make profit or not, obviously. With that, we had more than 20 products. We have come down to 3 businesses that we will do. Within that there are some products, but we will be in rural, we will be in housing, and we will be in wholesale business. This is on lending side. In addition to that, we have a mutual fund business which we are doing phenomenally well. We are generating value. There were lots of questions there, and most certainly at the right period of time we will look for a partner for minority stakes. So that is something that, and we will talk about it, how it will help me in ROE, but more importantly it will help me in getting more customers and more AMC and more asset under management, etc. Right? So that's the businesses that we are moving on to. Next. Right structure. Now this is important. Right structure is about both capital allocation, and I believe that the 2 people here, my CFO and myself, our actual only job is capital allocation. There are chief executives doing various businesses, they do it well, they know how they do, and they do it very well. Capital kidhar jana hai, that is what we will decide. So capital from now on largely will go to more ROE generating businesses. What does it mean? Wholesale business, large amount of capital will go to IDF, to the infrastructure debt fund, which is a tax-free entity and hence a very low risk entity and has the ability to generate 16-17% ROE. Rest of the wholesale business, it will be largely generating fees, sell down, generating fees, getting market share, but not necessarily giving too much capital. Okay. Does that mean that quarter to quarter this trend will be seen? No, but generally for next 4 years we will do that. Large amount of capital we will try and give to more retail or housing, which is high ROE, high PE businesses. It's easier said than done, right? 100 rupees or 1,000 crore infra asset can be put like this. 1,000 crore increase in tractors. I mean, it's difficult. Let me put it. But yes, that would be the idea. Non-interest bearing assets, we are very, very keen on monetizing. So number one, first, all our non-core portfolio, which is close to 10% of our balance sheet, little less now. We are keen on selling it. The process is on. Second, most of our real estate assets we are selling. So we will move to maybe less bank-like branches in many places. We are already removed. I mean, where we rented branches. We have branches of various companies within 100 meters of each other. All that is gone. This was done very, very quickly. It is good to say one group, one LTFS. It is very difficult to implement because each person wants this and has a very good reason as to why he need a separate branch, SEBI, RBI. We will find a lot of reasons, but we said no. The only reason is that we save cost and generate revenues, and we have merged all those branches. We are very keen on selling off some of the real estate that we want to release the capital. That's what we have certain private equity portfolio. We have equity positions. Process is on for selling all of them. So every asset which will be on the balance sheet will generate interest. Say 9 months more, because it's a process. Don't want to hurry it, rush it, and make losses. But say 9 months from now, you can say that. Maybe somewhere in the middle of FY18, every asset on the book will generate interest. So that's where it is moving. Then we will consolidate multiple legal entities. So we are starting with 3 companies, L&T Finance, Family Credit, and L&T FinCorp. 3 companies we are merging. What it will do? Better capital allocation, most definitely, and saving of so many costs. I mean, 3 credit ratings, 3 RBI inspection, 12 board meetings. I mean, I spend a lot of time in board meetings, right? And with the new Companies Act, every company is a debt listed company. You have to have independent directors. I mean, we love independent directors, but how many? There is a limit. So all that is happening. Basically, I speak like this. It may sound a little flippant what I say, but most things are most simple. And we try to put layers of English on it to make it feel complicated. But when you actually see, it is so simple. And many people have asked me that if it is so simple, why it didn't happen? And the true answer is it didn't happen because it didn't happen. Let's do it. Rather than saying why it didn't happen, let's just go ahead and do it. That's what we are doing. So this is Mr. Joshi is looking after all these things, and we will have a much simpler looking company. There will be some complications which will remain. We will hopefully move away from that. Like today we need a HFC, because if I don't have a HFC, the person who takes a loan from me won't get a tax break. So there are various things like that. I think government has done a great thing by giving SAFESI to all my companies now. Now maybe one reason of having an infrastructure finance company is now. So maybe we will merge that soon. So there are few things like this. As regulations move, we will keep going. The last part is most interesting. What? Right people. Now this, I know it sounds like a great management book now, this, right? But it is, it's important. It's important to have really the right philosophy and right people at different point of time. So we genuinely looked at all those things. Transformational goals, peak competence, peak commitment. I want to give you some numbers. Out of the top 50 jobs which were there in February, today 12 don't exist. Jobs don't exist. Top 50 in the company. Most of the remaining 38 people have got enhanced roles. You won't believe that how liberating it is to not have 12 top people. I mean, most of the processes become so much easier, because most of the top people, many of them, not most, want to approve something all the time. I mean, you don't do something, you approve something. That's your role. And there are many things which, by the way, don't need approval, because the team knows best. And then those things are changed. We are totally committed. I think I can give you two highlight numbers. I can give you two big numbers. One, me and my immediate team, that is 13 people. We have a ROE goal. We have not given that goal, but let me say, if we have to increase by say 8% over the 4 years, it is reasonable to assume 2% per year. Right? We are at 10, we want to be at 18, which is top quartile today, 2% per year. It won't be like that, but let us say 2% this year. Me and my number twos will not take 1 rupee of variable pay if 2% increase is not achieved. Okay? And my salary is all over the internet now. You can see that it's a very substantial portion. So we are totally committed. The top 50 of this company will end up owning 5% of the company through ESOPs in the next 5 years, 4 years. And each of these ESOP grant is at market price. So every year it will be at the market price. So every year we get that upside only if we create upside. There is no discount, nothing. We will, so for example, this year's was at 75.5 4 months back. Right? And today all of us are happy, but we are happy because the shareholders are happy. And assuming that this is steady and this increase and it will keep going up. But we allotted ESOPs at 75.5 on the day that the market price was 72 by the formula. And that's how it will happen, continuous. These two basic things are big changes. That we have no right to carry 1 rupee of variable pay if the shareholder is suffering. 1 rupee. So there can be always ways of putting complex formulae as to how if you achieve 90% of budget, you should get at least 80% of variable. Right? It happens every week. You can easily put the formula. We have put a very simple formula. If it is 99.99% of budget, variable pay of top management is 0. It's simple. There is no formula. And including me. And it's huge. 40% of my take home pay is variable. 40%. So this is what we are putting on the table. I think rest of it is self-explanatory. In interest of time, I will go ahead. So it's very simple. Right businesses, right structures, right people, and we will fully intend to make transformation. Definitely. Yeah, next. Now, this looks good as a strategy. Is there an implementation plan or no? So I will talk about the implementation plan right now. So in the short term, what we are doing, we have already done that. We are committed to bring down the cost to income ratio. We have already cut a lot of cost, mainly in infrastructure area and in people area. We are not so much interested in cutting costs rather than using the cost right. I mean, we want growth. We are a company, nobody makes profit by cutting costs. That is clear, right? Only way you can make profit is by growth. But putting the cost at the right place is what is important. We have started doing that. We are becoming very careful about where we put capital. Now this thing we can do over the short term. Many of the things are already happening, and the right side I will talk about, which is very important. On the mid-term, we are saying that we will unlock value out of many of our investments. So we have a non-core portfolio. Mandate is already out. In fact, I can tell you, Kotak is having the mandate. They are looking at selling this portfolio for us. We are looking at, we have some prop equity positions. We are looking at selling them. We are even looking at selling and perhaps leasing back or moving out of our head office building. My head office building, if you say, it's a beautiful building. It's in Kalina, and it would have been the head office building of L&T Bank. Perhaps too good to become the head office building of NBFC. Not now, maybe when I become 16-17% ROE. Maybe. So at this point of time, a sale and lease back or a sale and going somewhere else is the option we are looking at. Are we saying it will happen in the next 3 months? No, it is medium term. And in the long term, the businesses that I am now concentrating on will start growing and generating value because I am concentrating on them. That's the plan. How you will measure us by? On quarter by quarter, we will report. And I will talk about some of the initiatives. If you have seen my quarterly presentation this time, we will report on the specific initiatives we are doing. Are we red? Are we amber? Mirror? All these initiatives that we talk. You can measure us on cost to income ratio. It is something that you can see quarter on quarter. And you can measure us on ROE. Let's be real, that will take at least 2-3 quarters to start changing, right? Because it's a book. So the book has to, you can change businesses, but book to change takes some time. So it will take time. So this is what we are standing for, and we are ready to be measured. I am ready to be measured. Next. So, how are we doing it? We are doing it through about 20 projects, which are being led by the middle management of this company. Right? And these projects are around the following themes. That in our focus businesses, how we create center of excellence, how we become really distinctive in each of these businesses. Now, each of these projects have measurement, timelines, milestones, specific people whose day jobs are these projects. Then, center of excellence in digital and data analytics. I hear that has been the general theme of everybody talked about. I fully agree. I think decisions which are taken by people can be most easily taken, largely better, but most importantly, more predictable and faster by computers and data. And most certainly we are trying and moving there. We are already completely digital in many of our businesses. As we speak, my tractors, two-wheelers and microfinance is completely paperless. Because of some Reserve Bank guidelines, I have to get a sign on the loan document as such. We are looking at even eliminating that. But otherwise, the process is end-to-end paperless, from sourcing to disbursement, completely paperless. So we have moved there already. Merger of entities, I talked about divestment of non-core businesses and cost efficiencies. These are really where things are happening in the organization. Next slide is very important. Now this shows the ROE focus. That each of these projects, the project heads, know their milestones, know what they have to deliver, by when, and how it touches the ROE. So we don't talk ROE to everybody, really, no? Nobody will even understand, right? So somebody who is selling tractors knows that 4 things. Somebody asked a question about KPI. He knows that what has to be his productivity, what has to be his out-of-pocket expenses, maximum, and what has to be his maximum is early delinquencies, so that he achieves ROE. Because nothing else he controls. So similarly, each of these project heads know where their project is touching. Okay. Achievement of these milestones control that 60% of the variable pay of each of these project heads. This project heads is our management of tomorrow. They are identified leaders of tomorrow. They are doing this. So the whole idea is trying to convert that strategy into action, and that's what we are doing. That's what gives us the confidence that at least we will not let any stone unturned to make this possible. right? I mean, whether this will happen or not, I am not clear on it. I don't want to promise. Like tomorrow, if government says, or all the banks come together and says all the incomplete projects in infrastructure, let them go to hell. Obviously, I will lose much more than what I planned for. Right? So, I am not in a habit of promising कि 4 साल के बाद इतना number दिखे. But at least what I promise is we have a clear line of view as to how we will achieve that number. What is required to make it happen, and we are doing. Finally, Krishna Bhagwan बोल के गया है, कर्म करो. फल की अपेक्षा करेंगे, लेकिन you can't control, right? So, but we are reasonably confident that we have to move there. Yeah. So this is the only slide in which I will talk numbers. Okay. I promise not to show numbers, but it is very important that I show this to say how it will. Now the important number is here, right? Even after improving from 9.09, we suck. Right? 9.78 is a bad number. The whole idea is how will it increase. Now this is important, that in our core businesses we are already delivering 14%. In times where infra and rural are in distress. Not only that, the growth there is 21%. So some of the things that we're saying that what gives us the confidence that we will do. Then there is a defocused business. Which is about 3,500 crores, capital of about 600 crore is there, which is losing 21% ROE. And just because of that, that 14% is coming to close to 11%. Then just please remember these ideas. I will talk about the action plan going ahead. But just want to explain this. This is the first time that we presented this. Otherwise, we are a very complex company. So we simplified it and showed where the money is. So if you see the investor presentation, it's there. Then there are other businesses, out of which one mutual fund is there, where out of this 1,000 crores, around 800 crores is there. And then some land, some offices, etc. Pura 1000 crore hota hai, which obviously is generating less. My mutual fund, I put 800 crores. It's a very well managed, well performing mutual fund. But for 800 crores to make 15%, it will take some time. We will make about 30 crores this year. 15% on 800 crores is 120 crores. It will take 4 to 5. And that too, you know that the norms are changing, TERs are changing, etc. etc. It will take some time. So, what is the plan? So this brings these two things bring this 13.81 by in terms of 9%. So the whole idea is what can I do here? What can I do here? What can I do? Okay. So the next slide. What are we doing on each of these businesses? So I was just talking to Mr. Dinanath outside, and he mentioned that operating efficiency and cost on two-wheelers, and I think Madam will also agree, is something that you have to watch very carefully. Two-wheeler is a business you can easily do very well, but operating costs, people believe that credit costs in two-wheelers are the problem, which actually is so not true. It is, the two is what is operating costs, right? And total concentration is there on our two-wheeler operating costs. I know I am speaking in presence of absolute leader in the two-wheeler industry, but we are very clear that that's what we need to concentrate on. And then maintaining leadership in our microfinance and tractors, we are doing very well there. We have to just continue. And, yes, we can talk about NPAs in tractors, etc. It's an industry which is basically very knowledge based, and knowledge that 2-3 players have built and is very clearly the entry barrier in this industry. The whole idea is how we increase this knowledge, how we codify it, how we digitalize it and use it more and more efficient. So that's how the rural business we are pushing. Housing is a perhaps somewhere where I can't so confidently claim leadership because we are not. Right? We are a very small player, but there also we have figured out what to do. We were doing all sorts of things. We have stopped doing DSA sourced salaried business. I mean, DSA sourced salaried business loses money on the day the loan is booked. Right? And on top of it, the DSA moves it after say 1.5 to 2 years. So, all these things like housing loan remains for 8 years, 10 years is largely fiction. So that it doesn't happen. And the only hope of making money is that if it is DSA sourced, you generate some more return of ROI, or you source it yourself. So more than the cost of sourcing, what you save is get a few more years in the loan, which is where you make money. So we have made that change. The good thing is that the momentum has not faltered. The team, this is according to me the most difficult project that we done. The team had to change direction completely. It had done so. The upside in this business is I think we have only scratched the surface as well as what we can do with L&T. Right? So L&T builds houses for most of the builders in the country. Most of the builders, large builders, good, bad, etc. So we have financial information, we have access to performance information, we have the contacts. We have to just make it work. Right? And many good things of the professional group. One bad thing is you don't have some Lalaji sitting saying you do that. People do it if they realize what is good for them. So it's a journey, we have to do it, but that's the upside. On wholesale, yes, infra, there are lots of questions. I think many of those questions are true. But it is equally true that our model change from FY12, we have made sure that there are no accidents on any of the loans that we have booked after FY12. Right? Certainly there are issues. Before that, we have been pretty transparent in declaring all our loans. We declare entire impaired assets. Right? There are few more assets which will not be impaired or NPAs, but will remain in the 30 to 45 DPD, again jata hai, then again becomes regular, all those things. All these assets are under watch, and we are quite confident that we will be able to manage it. There is a way also, and I will talk about it, but the growth is going to come from renewables, it is going to come from operating assets. Our IDF is a very good tool for them. The infrastructure debt fund, for many people who may not know, is the NBFC, which is mainly for financing operational assets, and it's a tax-free NBFC, which gives it a lot of scope to do so. And our sell-down desk, which is the fee-generating desk, has been doing very well. If you see the numbers, lots of fees have been generated over the years. We need to just take it to another level. So this is what we will do on our main businesses. Yeah, next. And then, these things I talked about, sell down of non-core assets, sell of non-interest bearing assets, prop equity, PE fund, own real estate, etc. And then value unlocking in mutual fund. Let me say again, only minority stake before any rumors start. But this will be done. Very simple calculation, and I do very simplistic calculation. We have put 800 crores in the mutual fund. We don't talk these numbers, but June we were close to 30,000. We are much higher than that today. We can't talk till the quarter end, but we are much higher than that. Even at taking 4.5% value, at 49% stake, I get most of my investment, most of it, if not entire. And today, what is a 3% ROE becomes infinite ROE. If I get most of my investment back, most definitely I will do it within the next 12 to 18 months. And instead of being a drag on ROE, it becomes a kicker. How will this whole thing we plan to make it look? Plan to is like this, that if everything goes the way we have planned, and I'm sure things will go wrong, but there is a management which will take view of that, do course corrections, etc. But the current plan shows that this is how the capital allocation will look like, largely because most of those businesses which are less than 10% we will just get rid of, rather than doing something great. So please, you see what is, less than 0 is 10%. Will it suddenly become 15%? No, that 10% will just go off, will just sell. Right? 0 to 10% is largely mutual fund. Right? And so as we convert that and we sell part of it, it will become more than 18% ROE business. Perhaps infinite, but at least a large number. And most of the other businesses moving to 15 to 18 and 18%. This is the plan. This is actually my second last slide. The last is the conclusion. So the strategy, right businesses, giving right structures, right people is under active implementation. Consistent progress. Most importantly, a complete mindset change is happening. 10,000 people, if you say that if the mindset of everybody changed, no, I will be lying. But I can say that if there were X people really believing in strategy in February when I first spoke about this strategy, there are many times X today who believe it happened. And I don't know how many of you have read the book Halo Effect by Philip Rothenberg. Life is about that. When the price goes from 50 to 90, suddenly all people inside also start believing that we are doing something right. It's genuinely Halo Effect, I must say, but it helps. It helps. If my internal people on the ground start believing that we are doing something right because of the share price, I don't worry about what will happen when the share price falls. It may not, my share price to book is way lower than others. I don't know, we'll see. I can't say I care, don't care, I deeply care, because I have lots of ESOPs and anyway I'm honest about things. But the strategy can't depend on that. But what good management can use it well. It's a very motivating factor internally. And it's not at all necessary that people own that share. I mean, large majority of my people don't own even one share. But they keep watching the market every day. So something must be happening. I mean, we don't know why. But it's working. Good. So there is a transformation happening. First quarter, don't want to talk too much about it. But yes, some of the things that we started doing, started paying some dividend. And I'm sure that second, third quarter we will see the path. And most importantly, performance was never about whether products that we are good in are doing well. It was more about so many products that we were not doing well, we were carrying with ourselves. And we have decided to get rid of it. Right? That's where we are moving. We need your good wishes. The management is very, very committed to do it. Myself, I weighed about 86 kilos. I think you have seen me last year. I didn't look as good as I do.
I mean, positive or negative?
I thought, I weighed 86 kilos. Today I weigh 84. Right? But if you believe those things which analyze fat, muscle, etc., I have lost 10 kilos of fat and gained 8 kilos of muscle. I have done a transformation. And as simple and silly it seems, I intend to do that to my team. Right? So thank you very much for your listening. And look forward to your speech.
So can you talk about some growth targets, growth potentials?
It's a very slippery question even internally at home. When you are concentrating on ROI, can any company survive without growth? Most certainly not, right? So we don't want to give anybody the impression that cost come karo, growth lena dena nahi. So growth is important. But we are at a point of time where the overall growth will be a summation of various things happening. I mean, my overall book is 57,000 crores today. There are two big things happening. About 3,500 crores of non-core assets I am selling. About 800 crores of equity assets I am selling. Wholesale, I am trying and saying no more equity or little more equity, no more nahi hoga, and sell down more. So that way overall book growth, perhaps this year will be actually quite muted. But one number, is it there in the conclusion? Let's go. Yeah, this is important. This year, in the first quarter, my overall growth was 17%. In focus businesses grew by 26%, non-focus declined by 26%. So this year is largely going to be about that. Right? After that, you see the businesses that we are in. Right? I mean, you see tractors, you see microfinance, you see housing. I mean, something I wouldn't say 30%, which I think definitely the businesses that stuff is in will go. But yeah, something like 20 odd percentage in each of these businesses is not a challenge at all. Anything more than that, we will very clearly look from a ROE lens and also from a lens that how ready the company is in doing it. I think incredibly important thing that how much the company is ready. So, we are putting a very strong risk framework in place. We have a strong risk framework. But often, if you see the history of financial services in the world, when big transformations are happening, that is the time risk comes the highest, right? And hence it is very important that you have very strong risk preparation. So that is one of the projects which is, and till that is there, certain products we will be little bit going slow, right? I mean, we are moving from largely salaried to largely self-employed. Yes, certainly, and we have all the in-house or in lab. We have many things in place, but we would like to be much more stronger, much more analytically, equipped to let that engine run fast. So it's a little bit of, manage. It's more a question of managing growth than how much we can achieve. I will give you an example. Tractors. I mean, tractors. Last year we seeded market share. We actually stopped and could we have grown by 10-15% in tractors? Last year, most certainly. But instead we de-grew by close to 30%. And this year now we are pushing at growing. So largely it will be that, right? I mean, infra, for example, business, I think business can grow by 30 to 40%. But book, I may allow to grow by just 15 to 20%. So that, but like any management, I can give a complicated answer. This is a complicated answer. Simple one, though I don't like to give numbers, steady 20% odd looks very doable.
Sir, one question.
Yeah.
So couple of things. There's a one big strategic shift in terms of the tax compliance in the country which is happening right now. We are moving from a multiple tax layers to a GST, and you being all the NBFCs who are targeting to SMEs and MSMEs and all, there will be some teething issue in terms of their cash flow which they are doing it because of mix the way they do their businesses. Are you seeing some kind of hiccups in your growth projection, in your growth numbers, or have you ever taken that into account while taking your forecast? Because I'm looking at the 5-year picture, I'm just trying to take a big picture analysis of that, and what's your view on that? It will be very helpful.
So one is, let me talk about our company first, is that other than the lab part of the portfolio,
Sure.
right? There is nothing missing. I mean, we are not strong. Much stronger players in that, right? Who are our customers? Let's say in infra and in structured finance, it is largely larger corporate projects and project contractors or project owners. They are my customers. In rural, it is largely the rural janata, which is my customer, right? Microfinance, farm, two-wheelers. Two-wheeler but mostly semi-urban and rural. Then I come to housing. Housing, either the builders or home buyers or lab. And largely lab, SENP and lab is where this question comes, which is a fairly small part of the whole thing. Right? Then GST. I believe that any expert who claims to have understood completely how it will pan out, my salute to him. I am not. But we will have to watch closely. I mean, I must say, as we move more towards implementation and what exactly will be the tax rate, which states come first, what happens, what will be the digital infrastructure to make that happen. Because the normal tendency is, by now there are a lot of people who must have already started thinking how to cheat GST. So there will be a parallel industry moving that way. So it would really depend on how actually it pans out for that. Luckily at this point of time in our book, less people. If I was in construction equipment, if I was in CV with lots of the CV operators, fleet operators, I would have been very, not worried, very wary is the word. So watching it much more closely. I'm less worried here. I'm less worried.
One question. It is really rude, just pardon my.
No.
I
am very
I love the way you made a presentation, and I just wanted to understand this sudden change of mindset of L&T being a big data company, more PSU driven, more process driven, too many internal issues, to change the L&T finance into this kind
So
of
you're talking
structure.
about L&T finance, right? I'm not
L&T finance in specific. how come this sudden change of mindset? First question that. Second, what will stop that again to go back to the erstwhile thing if suddenly couple of or 2-3 of top people changes away, those 12 guys are gone from the 50 and 38 is remaining. So I'm being a shareholder, that's a biggest worry I have.
Then what
so
will
will this focus remain what it is today and will improve or we have a backwardation possible?
Why do you think this question is?
I
This
don't
question
think
is
so.
very
Yeah,
important.
so just
I think I answered it, but let
you
me
answer it
So-
in bits and pieces.
Okay. So number one, first, okay. Do I disown all these things? So many of those things, PSU, etc. It is just a way of thinking, right? So one is this bank issue, which was, I think, the worst nightmare. Luckily, it is over. Okay, I think, and now more and more people realizing that it's not a rainbow at the end where there is a golden equator. You need to have a bank. Then a lot of people talked about transactions. I think Madam was challenging. Not many banks make money on transaction banking in Australia. I mean, I was in a bank for 10 years. Mostly you lose money on transactions. Mostly, because nobody pays for transactions. But yes, you make money on CASA, and then once you get into CASA, you have to deal with people who are our host today. Majak thodi hai. So it's not a pot at the end of the rainbow. So, but at some point of time, we have thoughts. So one reason why it will not go back is that we are very clear that maybe जब हम लोग 18% वगैरह होंगे, तब हम
It is
लोग
not in the horizon of at least 4-5 years.
most definitely not. Why that? See, let me take a small detour and come back. So don't think that I'm avoiding your question because it is very important. See, it's important that people ask me, where are your investments going? Most definitely I'm investing. At this point of time, in anything, do I want to be a crazy out of the world innovator? No. Right? I want to be the fastest and the cheapest copier. At this point of time. It's not plagiarism. It's smart copycat. It's fine. Why? It's because at 10% ROE, I cannot afford to go wrong 9 out of 10 times. If you are an innovator, you will go wrong 9 out of 10 times. When you are doing a good idea and copying it faster, better, quicker, you will go right 9 out of 10 times. Right? जब भूखे होते हैं तब लॉटरी नहीं खरीदते. And we are hungry too. Maybe 4 years down the line, we will have enough money to start investing. Why 4 years? Maybe 2 years. 15-16% जाएगा तब some risks in something new we may start taking measure, right? So at this point of time, somebody says, are you open to acquisitions in your core businesses? What is the only answer I can give? Oh, most certainly so, right? Core businesses में acquisition करना है, and most, as long as it is ROE accretive, right? What does it really mean? What it really means is no, right? Because once PE funds have started coming in acquiring businesses, कौन सा business will be immediately ROE accretive? Everybody portfolio on sale is going at 3 times and 4 times. So which business is going to be ROE accretive? None of them. So what it means is, though it doesn't sound good, then fund managers will start challenging you, don't want to grow, etc. So I give this answer, but the truth is that practically no. Business, I mean, unless and until there are small acquisitions, you find opportunities. Get those, move, grow, and we have been very good in acquiring and growing. So that's the philosophy. Now coming back to your question. So really we have understood, hands burnt, understood that which, industry opinion leaders or something to shape the industry, etc. करने में problem है. You concentrate on making money for your shareholders, right? That's very clear, and that is what most people have understood. So being L&T, that's what I'm saying. I'm making it sound like a bad word, right? It's not a bad word. We get a lot of advantages. We get tremendous respect. First of all, no customer says कि तुम कौन है, right? I mean, L&T means something. You get a lot of entries. At AA plus, I get a AAA price. I have no intention of becoming AAA because I get every loan I raise, I get a AAA price. Best people join me because I am L&T. So there are lots of advantages. But also, though I wouldn't go as far as saying PSU, etc. there are certain ideas as to what we can do, what we can't do. अच्छा दिखेगा. I'm not saying integrity, governance, etc. But ये अच्छा दिखेगा क्या? Like 1000 लोगों को निकालना अच्छा दिखेगा क्या? What will the press say? And we actually took this call that why would I care? As long as my shareholders believe it's the right thing to do, why would I care? Right? That's the mindset change. It's not so much L&T, non-L&T. It's like what looks good to what is good, at least according to us. Right? Why now? I give you the answer that bank and 13, then it takes some time. And most clearly, okay, let me call a spade a spade. There were 2 schools in the company. Now there is one. It's simple, no? There are 2 schools of thought, it takes time. It is a professional company. It's not Lalaji bolte hai, okay, kal se. It takes time. And there is one. So we had this concept saying, okay, you know, all stakeholders, for example, have to benefit. What is good for the employees? What is good. Said yes, we will think of what is good for the employees as long as it is good for the shareholders. I give you an example. That we had these complex formulas. I mean, last year what was our ROE? Last to last year I mean, last to last, when I was retail head, our ROE was some 11-12%. I took 80% of my books. Did I deserve it? Hell no. But there was a formula. According to new management, you will get 0. So that's the change. Bain coming, I would think is a very important, very important milestone. Very important milestone. It's, I think they are very professional and they challenge and push the management very well. Yes. Third is yes, I think in a particular way. Right now, at least I am the boss. If you are the shareholder, you have to keep voting at every AG.
So your tenure changes every year?
No, it's for 5 years.
That's why I'm asking you.
You just,
I'm not worried for 5 years.
No, he's just trying to figure out when to sell.
it's a 5 years. I am not
So I'm not
super.
worried.
I am not superhuman. Thank you for saying that. I am a very ordinary man. Otherwise, expectations go very high. But I like simple things. And often, most things in life are simple. We just complicate it. The MBA degree na बहुत खतरनाक है. I am also from Bangalore. And so many times I ask my people, यार ये जो बोला ना अभी हिंदी में बोलो. Because Hindi में there are no jargon. At least if you use jargon, nobody will understand. Even that person will not understand. So most of the time I ask people, you know, the most disconcerting question for a person in the CXO suit, not the CEO, but the CXO suit, is after he says everything, you just ask him, matlab kya? So it is, that's a very disconcerting question, but it often
So we make-
clears the perspective.
We will probably not be able to make that complaint about your speech.
Thank you. Thank you.